space. I need some time to feel free and enjoy.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another brand new video I've got for you for the channel today. It's something a little bit different. It's totally different style of video from me to you for your viewing entertainment. Obviously, day 3 of lockdown, and yeah, without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. The video is ranking category because obviously we want to try and build a solid foundation within the side and kind of move forward in a strong I don't know what I'm trying to say. A strong, kind of, just in the right way, and obviously a positive way forward. Which under Arteta, we have seen obviously vast improvements in some of the players that will be reflected upon this video. So without further ado, obviously let's get into the video. As you can see, I'm doing it as you are seeing it. So I think with no better place, and also this is all based on my personal opinion. So if you obviously don't agree with it or whatever, you can obviously leave your thoughts down in the comments and obviously join the debate, join the conversation, and obviously hopefully, you know, see how we kind of compare, and obviously see where you would put different players, I guess. Starting with Callum Chambers, obviously had a sort of really good start to the season, and I think kind of tailed off. So straight away, I think we've kind of in conversation with my dad, we did this yesterday, done like a dry run through of where we'd put certain players, and we both agreed that we'd put him into the needs time category due to the fact that he's still young and obviously still learning the game, and I think he could be a vital part of Arsenal going forward, but just needs a little bit more time in terms of match kind of fitness and obviously games, which obviously is the most important. Kolasinac, moving on obviously to the left back, first of the left backs. I'm inclined to say he's just good. He's just a good player. He's not world class, not really showing potential because he's kind of past that kind of building potential, and like, you know, the type of player that are showing potential are in the age gap of sort of, you know, 19 to maybe 21, maybe 23, 19 to 23. I think he's experienced enough to sort of be more away from that, and in terms of showing potential, it's just a little bit, he's just a good player, and that, again, you know, personally that's where I would put him. Obviously, again, like I say, leave yours in the comments. Matt Macey, the goalkeeper, I mean, he never really gets spoken about all that much because obviously Emi Martinez comes in for the cup games, and obviously Leno plays in the league, and sometimes Leno plays in, as we've seen, in Europe. So I'm inclined to say, I know it might be harsh on the boy, but I would say he would be the first of the get-rids for me personally, because I think in terms of we need better kind of stability, obviously, kind of between the sticks, and I'm not saying Matt Macey's not the guy, it's just we need more, if we're moving forward, as I say, in that positive frame of mind and that positive way of kind of, not of thinking, but of going forward to build a solid foundation, then we need better players than the current team. And obviously it's annoying because obviously I didn't want anyone to sort of end up in the this category particularly, because like I say, I don't pride myself on being kind of negative when it's no need. So yeah, that's where I put him. I again, you know, it's just, it might be harsh, and you know, I don't necessarily want to be harsh, but judging on what I've seen, he's not had any game time as of right now in this season. So it's kind of, you kind of gauge where he is in the pecking order in terms of going forward. So if he's not being picked by Arteta, then it's kind of, you know, it's looking a bit bleak, as they say. So, you know, I guess that's why I've made judgment upon that. Maitland-Niles, well, he's one of the midfielders that I really wish Arteta would give more game time to, not in a position that he's not comfortable in. though he had done an amazing job at right back, I believe he needs time in that midfield, and we're crying out for a midfielder that is just so direct. To sort of, in the Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's credit, he actually has, but again, another one that just never, it's kind of close to slipping through the net. So it's one of them. I don't know. It's one of them ones where you kind of you've got to stop playing him now. I'm gonna put him into potential because the guy's got crazy potential. I mean, in terms of him kind of progressing as a player, like I said, he needs game time. And with Arteta, I believe he will be able, and he will be given game time, and he will be able to play in that centre midfield role that he solely deserves. As, like I mentioned, he's done an amazing job at right back and filling in for Arteta, I guess, but for Bellerin while he's been out. And even to Bellerin's credit, he's not come back the same player. But moving on, Rob Holding. Rob Holding is a funny one. It's kind of an anomaly. It's not looking good for him because he's not being picked under Arteta so much. And that's not to say he won't be picked in the future, but it's just, as of right now, the type of the age and the type of player he needs game time. So you would say yes, put him into needs time, and probably that is where I'm going to go with him. Many of people that I've spoken to believe that we should actually be getting rid of him. I don't agree with that so much. But yeah, he's going into needs time because I think he just needs a little bit of game time in terms of confidence and fitness. But that's obviously that's what I based that upon. And there's not much else to say because he hasn't had that much game time in terms of obviously this season under Arteta. Dani Ceballos, well, he's again another anomaly basically. Do you play him at kind of as a deeper role, or do you play him in his more natural role as like a right forward or a kind of attacking midfielder? Personally, I would go with his more natural role because that's his more natural game. But credit to Arteta, he's played him in a deeper role and he has excelled. Therefore, going into potential, that's, I guess, self-explanatory, like from what I have just said. But him in terms of potential because of the age and everything like that, and obviously I don't genuinely believe we'll be getting him on a permanent deal, but again, that could all change really, really quick, as we've seen, within football. So yeah, I guess the type of player that we need is kind of that, because if Ozil obviously I'll get onto Ozil in a sec, but if Ozil is to leave sort of at the end of the season, whenever that may be, because obviously the situation we will find ourselves in is a very sort of strange one. But I believe he could be the missing link in terms of playing in that more natural number 10 role. So yeah, that's why I put him in potential, because he is really very young and obviously still learning the game, as they say. Kieran Tierney, I mean, obviously for the moving on swiftly to the second of the left backs, or arguably first of the left backs, I believe he's showing good potential. He's showing good potential. I think he's a good player. I could quite easily put him in the good players category, but I believe he's showing more so potential than anything because, again, very young, still, kind of finding his feet at Arsenal. A little bit kind of on the, not limp side, but a little bit kind of on the less physical side, even though, everyone thinks, he come from Celtic, so he's going to, be right up for the fight and everything. But I think he's, he just needs a little bit of time, but also showing great potential. I think, so, I mean, this is also one that divides opinion. Every Arsenal fan you speak to, he's, it kind of, he's either world-class or either just good. And I believe, I believe he's showing great potential. And this is Nicolas Pepe. I think he's showing great potential. He's not been as consistent as we probably would have liked, but that, I believe that will come. I think that will come in abundance. We've got an absolute monster of a player on their hands. And contrary to obviously, what other fans say, they're just jealous. It's like they're all just salty. Need a little bit of pepper with that Pepe. It's just, I think that's a fair kind of, so far it's a fair reflection upon the season so far. They're, the classes that they are, there's not going to be many, if any, in the world class category. I think there might be two that we done a dry run through yesterday, and there was only two that ended up there. I'm going to go with Lucas Torreira, finishing off on Nicolas Pepe. He's just showing great potential, and I think, like I said, we've got a monster of a player on our hands, and that's probably all that needs to be said about him. Lucas Torreira, I mean, he's one of Arsenal's integral part to the midfield, so I believe he's just a good player. I say just a good player. When I say good, I mean these are better than potential, better than needs time, and obviously, way better than get rid. It's really, I love watching Torreira, I think, because I've modelled myself off of him, so in terms of play style, so I love kind of analysing the type of game that he plays, and obviously, the positions he takes up and everything like that. Moving on to Joe Willock, I mean, it's quite easily kind of self-explanatory. Too young at the moment, still showing great potential, and I think we should stick with him big time. The same could be said for the next two as well, because they're both English, and obviously, who knows, in a couple of years they may break into the England side and be essentially the next four. So along with Willock, you've got Nelson, Smith Rowe, and Bakayo Saka. Yeah, that's it. So those three, or four, if you will end up in the. I think Nelson, more so than the other four, or the other three per se, needs more game time. I think Saka he's just showing amazing potential. I think, again, and also Smith Rowe, I think, because obviously being out on loan to Huddersfield, I believe, just needs more game time. So I think, he showed real glimpses of being a good player, I think, in terms of like the categories that we've got here. But I don't know, it's one of them. This is where we kind of get into the latter part of the video of the nitty gritty, down to the more this is where the more controversial kind of players come into it. So starting with Mavropanos, I believe it could be a very, very integral part to us going forward, being young. Still, I'm going to put him into potential, because again, young players, it's sort of, they're still learning, but also old enough and kind of wise enough to be able to sort of read the game. And I believe the players that are in potential, and obviously the respective categories, are kind of a fair reflection. Kind of moving on, I guess, to Matteo Guendouzi. I mean, I personally thought I was full of admiration and full of hype as such, and full of expectation, should we say, for a better word. But he's not really. I would say he's just a good player. He's not showing potential. He's just a good player. Me personally, so far, so from what I've seen, Mesut Ozil. I'm going to try and whiz through these last lot, because obviously we're up to like 14 minutes now, and it's it is what it is. Mesut Ozil, I personally believe, should be in just, again, the good, because he doesn't need time. He's not showing potential, and he is just a good player, as we've seen, declining or whatever you may think of him. But this is where it kind of gets a little bit more controversial, because there'll be a few players going forward that end up in the get rid, and starting with Socrates. Been very good for us, been solid as a sort of right back, centre back, right-sided centre back to right back, because obviously he's been playing in those two positions more recently. It's maybe unfair, but I think he will end up in the kind of get rid category. Talking of potential, doesn't get much bigger than Gabriel Martinelli. I think, in terms of him showing great potential throughout the season, he's kind of almost well, he is a breath of fresh air. Just it's something that Arsenal have been crying out for a long while, and coming into the team, kind of taking it like a duck to water, just kind of rewriting the script, if you will, and throwing the rule book out the window. First of the world-class players in my eyes. I mean, I don't think anyone would necessarily disagree, because when you talk about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, he's, throughout his career and throughout his Arsenal career, more importantly, he's shown that he is more than world-class and more than capable of, obviously, well, he saved us so many times, and to be quite honest, I think fairly certain of his world-class spot within the categories. His strike partner, Alex Lacazette, well, I mean, this is one that kind of defies a little bit of an anomaly. I believe personally myself, he just needs time. I think he's not showing potential, because he's at that age where you should be in the prime of kind of your career, and I believe he just needs more game time. Mustafi, again, personally, if you're going forward in a team, it needs to be like, you need to have a solid defence, and that's obviously, you look at Liverpool, you look at City, and you look at like the teams that are above us, they've all got solid back fours, and in terms of going forward, he's not a type of defender you want. Not discrediting, I'm not saying, I'm not jumping on that bandwagon, because obviously, everyone thinks, oh, he's rubbish or this and that, whatever, and he's not. He's, really, really good, and, wrapping up the last four really quick. Bernd Leno, again, because he saved us, much like Aubameyang has, he just deserves to be in the world-class category, because actually, in my eyes, he's actually a world-class goalkeeper. So we've done very well to get him in terms of the type of player he is. I know it's a goalkeeper, the type of goalkeeper he is, I guess. The last three, I think, will end in, well, Bellerin's going to end in straight away in needs time, because I think at the end of the kind of, all things being well, he's the injury he had, to come back from it in any shape, he's done remarkably well. But ever since he's been on a vegan diet and whatever, he's looked a little bit thin. He's lacked that physical presence, and I believe it's just turned kind of, he needs to get back to the old Bellerin. The last two, Martinez and Xhaka, obviously not last two by no means least. I'm going to put Xhaka, controversially maybe, into just the good players category. I think in terms of the, again, style of player he is, and obviously with what he has had to deal with in terms of the fans and everything, and the remarkable turnaround, road to redemption, if you will, that he's had to undergo, it's credit to him massively for knuckling down and really, under Arteta, becoming our most improved player, personally, along with Mustafi. Ironically, obviously, I put Mustafi in for my own reasons in get rid, because, like I said, he's not a defender that you want kind of going forward and look into the bigger picture, and obviously where you want to be in, I don't know, even next year. He's not someone that you can really rely upon. The last one, but again, by no means least, Emi Martinez, I think he just needs time. It could be either potential or needs time, and I think, me personally, he just needs more game time. And I think that, because I really, really do rate him highly, very highly, that in terms of him as a goalkeeper, very, very similar to Leno, great shot stopper, very agile, and they just read the game very well. That's going to be it for the video. I know it's a long one, but it's a very sort of different video. I'm not used to sort of doing this type of video, but I thought, as we're not getting, obviously, no football for the foreseeable future, obviously I'm going to be uploading from next week. I'm going to be uploading from Sunday to Sunday, 2 videos per day, and yeah, just look forward to more videos like this in this type of format, I guess. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I love you guys, and sweet. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave your like, and if you are new, subscribe, because it's obviously new and everyone likes free things, free stuff. Your boys out here. Talk to you guys in a bit.